Good afternoon. My name is Sailaja. I'm working in CMR Engineering College. I'm working as assistant professor. And today I'm going to discuss about the looping control statement. First of all, before going to looping control statement, first we have control statements in C. Basically, control statements are divided into three types: decision control statements, loop control statements, and jump control statements. And our topic is looping control statement. Basically, looping control statements are divided into three types again: for, while, and do while. For, while, and do while. Okay. These are, we have three types of looping control statements we have. Before going to the for looping statement, first of all, we'll discuss what is the purpose of looping control statements. What is the purpose of looping control statement? For example, if you want to execute a statement multiple times, or if you want to execute any number multiple times, we can use looping statement. For example, if you want to print any name by using printf. For example, if you want to print your college name 10 times or 5 times, how many printf statements here we are using? 5 printf statements we are using for printing any name or any number, like this. Likewise, or if you want to print 10 numbers, or if you want to print 100 numbers, like this, how many printf statements we are using here? 10 printf statements or 100 printf statements, 100 printf statements. But here, if you are writing like this, your program length will be increases. If program length will be increases, performance rate will be decreases. That's why if you want to execute any statement multiple times, for example like this, if you want to print your name or your college name or anything else, if you want to print any number, or if you want to execute any statement multiple times, that is 5 times or 10 times or number of times, we can insert whatever the statement you want to execute multiple times. In insert that statement in looping statement, that is either for loop or while loop or do while. You can use any looping statement: for, while, do while. These three looping statements purpose is same. What is the purpose? If you want to execute any statement or multiple statements, if you want to execute any single statement or multiple statement number of times, okay, insert that statement or multiple statement within the for loop or while loop or do while loop. Based on the condition, these statements are executed multiple times. Okay, that's why this is the purpose of, first of all, what is the purpose of looping control statement? Looping control statement purpose is we can execute a statement or multiple statements number of times. Okay, we have three types of looping statements are there: for, while, and do while. First of all, we'll discuss about what is for loop. What is for loop? What is for loop? Before going to the for loop, before going to the concept of for loop, first of all, what is the condition of looping statement? If you want to use any looping statement, that is either for loop or while loop or do while loop, all these three looping statements are worked based on the condition. First, what is the property of looping statement? First, we need to maintain the condition. Based on the condition only, these all three looping statements will be executed. Okay, that's why. What is for loop? For loop is one of the looping control statement. What is the purpose of for loop? By using for loop, we can execute a statement or multiple statements. We can execute multiple times. That means number of times we can execute. And what is the syntax for the for loop? What is the syntax for the for loop? For here, first expression 1, semicolon, expression 2, semicolon, and expression 3. This is the syntax for the for loop. What is expression 1? What is expression 2? What is expression 3? Expression 1 is nothing but initialization of the loop. Initialization of the loop. And what is second expression? Condition. This condition is very important in looping statement. And third expression 3 is nothing but increment or decrement the loop. Based on the problem statement, if you want to increase the loop, we can increase the loop, or if you want to decrease the loop, we can decrease the loop. This is the basic syntax of the for loop. For initialization, condition, and increment and decrement. What is initialization in for loop? For example, if you want to print your name or college name, how many times if you want if I want to print my college name is 10 times, means how many times we are going to print our college name? 10 times. That means number of times, how many number of times we are going to execute this college name 10 times, means from starting number 1, 1, 2, 3, and so on 10. How many times we are going to execute this name? 10 times. And this name is starting number is 1. That means from where which number onwards you want to start your loop, that is 0 or 1 or 2, that is your choice. You can start your loop from whenever you want, where from which number you want, you can start your loop. For example, if you want to loop starting from 0, that is your choice, you can start your loop from 0. Now for example, if you want to, based on the problem statement, if you want to start your loop is starting from 2, that is also your choice. Based on the problem statement, we can change the initialization, but initialization is compulsory. Means what is the initialization? Means from where itself you want to start your loop, that is either 0 or 1 or 2. Okay, that is the initialization. Means for example, if I want to print my college name 10 times, means I want to start my first iteration 0 onwards. That's why my initialization of the loop is 0. And condition, that's why as I told you before, condition is very important in looping statement, that is either for loop or while loop or do while loop. Condition means where we need to end our loop, where we need to terminate the loop. For example, if you consider this example, if you want to print your college name 10 times, how many times we are going to print our college name? 10 times. From that means where I need to stop this iteration, if I start my looping is starting from 0 and condition is 10, means from 0 to 10, means I want to start my loop is from 0 and I want to end my loop from 10. Okay, this is the initialization, means where we need to starting the loop, and this means the condition means where I need to stop the loop. This one is starting of the loop and this one is the ending of the loop. And coming to the increment and decrement, for example, if you want to print your college name or your name or whatever the numbers, if you want to print from 0 to 10 numbers or 0 to 20 numbers also. For example, if you consider, if I want to print 1 to 10 numbers, okay, for example, if I want to print 1 to 10 numbers, I am starting, my loop is starting from 1. Means why? Because I want to print my expected output is 1 to 10. That's why my first number is 1. That's why here loop is also starting from 0 or 1, that is your choice. And end means where you need to stop in the loop. Here I want to print 1 to 10. That's why my terminating the looping number is 10. That means I want to print my numbers 1 to 10. That's why my starting initialization of the number is 1 and condition is 10. And 1 to 10, here if you observe, loop is incremented or decremented? 1, 1 after 2, 2 after 3, and so on 10. Every time if you observe, for every iteration, number is incremented. That's why here increment the loop. Okay, for example, if you want to decrease the number, for example 10 to 1, in this case Initialization of the loop is from 10, means where you want to start your where you want to print your output from 10 onwards. That's why here, from here itself, I need to print. That's why here my initialization of the loop is 10, and where I need to stop the output 1. Whenever my number is 1, then here I need to stop the iteration. That's why condition is here 1. Initialization is 10 and condition is 1. And every time if you observe 10, 10 after 9, 9 after 8, 8 after 7, every time if you observe, loop is decremented. In this case, we need to decrement the loop. Okay, that's why based on the problem statement, if you want to increase the loop, you can increment the loop. If you want to decrease the loop, you can decrement the loop. Okay, coming to the syntax of our loop. What is the syntax for loop? For initialization of the loop, and condition means where you want to exit the loop, that means terminate the loop. And from initialization to condition, your loop is incremented or decremented. Here we need to mention the updating of the loop. This is the syntax. For example, if we discuss about a simple example, before going to the example, I want to write one flowchart also. What is the flowchart for loop? For loop flowchart is first is initialization. This one is flowchart of for loop. First, I am going to initialize my for loop. And after initializing, already we know how to check the condition in symbol of flowchart, that is diamond symbol. Here I am going to check my looping condition. That means what is the condition? Where you need to stop the loop. Okay, after initializing, next here we need to mention what is the condition, and if that condition is satisfied, then only it will enter inside the loop, and whatever the statements you want to execute based on the loop, you can execute that statements. And after executing that statement, here update the loop. Update the loop. Updating the loop is compulsory. Okay, first initialize your loop, and after initializing, next compiler will go and check the condition. If condition is satisfied, then control will enter inside the looping body, and whatever the body of the loop is there, and that statements will be executed. After executing the statement, and again it will update the loop based on the problem statement, whether it is increment or decrement, and based on that increment and decrement, it will update the loop. And after updating the loop, again it will go and check the condition. After updating the loop, again compiler will go and check the condition. If condition is again satisfied, and second time also, now compiler control will execute the second time also, control will execute the statements. And again after executing the statement, now it will go and update the loop. How many times this loop will be executed, how many times the statements will be executed, based on the condition. Okay, that's why if condition is true, that's why we are writing, if condition is true, then only this block of statements will be executed, and after executing the statement, loop will be updated. At one point of time, condition will be false. For example, if you want to print 1 to 10 numbers, okay, 1 to 10 numbers will be printed. Whenever at one point of time, loop will be 11, and condition here I am writing only up to 10 only. Whenever the loop value is 11, condition is false, then it will come out of the loop body. When this one, whenever the condition is false, whenever the condition is false, it will not enter the loop body. Directly it will come out of the loop. Directly it will come out of the loop. Is there any other statements outside the loop? Other statements will be executed. Okay, this is the simple flowchart for the for loop. This is very important. Okay, based on this flowchart, I'm going to write one example. Please all of you observe here. Example, now by using for loop, I want to print numbers 1 to 10 and 10 to 1. And initially I am taking simple example printing 1 to 10 numbers. First step is header files, hash include stdio.h, and main function, and here I'm going to print simple 1 to 10 numbers. That's why here simple pure natural numbers I'm going to print. That's why my data type is integer, and here n I'm declared means user to user. Maybe if I want to print 10 numbers, oh maybe second user wants to print 20 numbers. For that reason I'm going to read one variable n for reading the value n, and here I'm going to declare one more variable I. Why I is declared here? If you want to use any looping statements, that is for or while or do while, here one looping variable we need. Okay, for that reason one looping variable we need to declare. If you want to print a pure natural integer numbers, then your looping variable data type is integer. Okay, depends on your data, you can declare your looping variable data type. And here I'm going to print only pure natural numbers 1 to 10. That's why here I'm going to declare one number, one variable n for reading the value, and one variable is I is looping variable. Okay, next printf, for user understanding purpose I'm printing one optional statement, enter n value. Why I am writing this statement, anyone can understand while executing this program, immediately it will print enter n value. Okay, some other outside people also can able to understand easily. Enter n value means okay, we need to enter one n value. Okay, for that reason here I am executing, here I am writing one optional statement, enter n value, and read that n value. And for example, let me take one n value is for example 10. Why? Because I'm going to print 1 to 10 numbers, that's why n value 10. And now start your looping statement. For I, what is your looping variable? I. And as we discussed before, for first expression is initialization, means where you need to start your looping. That's why here I'm taking loop value, I'm going to print my numbers 1 to 10. That's why I'm going to initialize my loop variable is loop value is 1. For example, if you want to print 0 to 10, in that case you can initialize your loop value is 0. That is depends on the program, we need to change the initialization of the loop. But now this example I'm going to print only 1 to 10 numbers, that's why my initialization is I is equal to 1. And next second expression is condition. Condition is very important, based on the condition this loop will be executed. If you are not giving properly this condition, maybe sometimes this loop will become infinite loop. We have to take care of that. Okay, I'm going to print 10 only. That's why I less than 10. And in my expected output I'm going to print 1 to 10, including 10 also I'm going to print. That's why less than or equal to 10. And if you observe, from 1 to 10 loop is incremented or decremented? Loop is incremented. That's why I plus plus. Okay, and start the loop body, and here just I'm going to print my number. That's why printf percentile d. Here I want to print my numbers are 1 2 3 4 and so on, like this, and I want to maintain space, tab space between these numbers. That's why here I'm giving slash t. If you want to print numbers like vertical manner 1 2 3 4 5, in the place of slash t you can give slash n. Okay, here now I'm going to print only with space. That's why percentile d slash t, and I'm going to print number 1 first initially. That's why what is the initialization 1? Here I first compiler will go and check the condition 1 less than or equal to 10. Condition is true. Whenever the condition is true, then only compile control will go and execute the loop body, that means body of the loop. Then 1 less than or equal to 10, condition true. That's why control will enter inside the loop, and inside the loop what I'm going to execute, just I'm going to print the value. And where is the value? This one is initialized to I. That's why I. Okay, 1 less than or equal to 10, condition satisfied, control will enter inside the loop body, and just I value will be printed. What is the I value here? I value is 1. 1 is printed. Next, after printing that one value, now control will go and update the loop. According to this one, this flow chart, first initialization. What is the initialization? I value is 1. And condition, what is the condition here? I less than or equal to 10. And after initializing the loop, control will go and check the condition. What is the condition? I value 1. 1 less than or equal to 10. Condition true, satisfied. Then it will enter inside the loop body. Inside the loop, whatever the statement is there, the statement will be executed. What is the statement here? I'm going to print that I value. I value will be printed. After printing the I value, immediately it will go and update the loop. What is happening here? Here updating the loop. Updating the loop means here I plus plus. Now after incrementing the loop, I value is now 2. Okay, and still we are in loop, that's why it will go and check the condition. What is I value after updating? 2. Now it will go and check the 2 less than or equal to 10. Yes, condition again true. Now condition true, now again control will enter inside the loop body, and what is I value? I value will be printed. What is I value? 2. 2 will be printed. Okay, that's why based on the flow chart we can understand the program. Okay, and after printing 2, and immediately control will go and update the I value. What is I value now? I value is now 3. 3 less than or equal to 10. Condition again true. That's why control will go and execute the loop body. What is the loop body? Printf statement. I value will be printed. Like this, up to 9 numbers will be printed. Now what is I value? 9. Okay, now after printing the 9 value, now control will go and update the I value. Now I value is 10. 10 less than or equal to 10. Yes, again condition true. That's why control will go and will go and execute the loop body. What is the loop body? Here I am printing the I value. That's why 10 will be printed. Now observe clearly here, and after printing the 10, and again I will go and update the I value. What is I value now? I plus plus. I value is now 11. 11 less than or equal to 10. Condition now false. Why? Because 11 is greater than 10, not less than 10. Condition is false. What will happen? If condition is false, if you observe in condition, whenever the condition is false, it will come out of the loop body. That's why whenever the condition is false, immediately it will come out of the loop body. But where is loop ending? Here. This is closing flower bracket. This is the closing of the loop body. Then whenever the condition is false, now it will come out of the loop body. Okay. Now for now what is their expect, what is our output? 1 2 3 10 up to 10. Okay, now what is the next immediate statement? Now I am closing the main function. Okay, now main function is also closed. Here this is the simple example based on for loop. Like this, for example, if you want to print numbers in reverse order, if you want to print numbers in reverse order, what is the logic? Same for here. First declare int I. I is equal to, now what is my expected output here? I want to print 10 comma 9 comma and so on 1. If you observe, this is my expected output. Now I am starting value 10. That's why what is your initialization of the loop? I is starting from 10. 10 is your initialization. And condition. Condition means where you need to stop the loop. Whenever the value is become 1, now here I want to stop the loop. That's why I greater than or equal to 1. Okay, whenever the loop value will be 1, now immediately I want to terminate the loop. And if you observe, 10 to 1 loop is incremented or decremented? 10, 10 after 9, 9 after 8, every time loop is decremented. Now I minus minus. Now if you print that I value, printf printf percentile d slash n I /n_i. If you observe 10, now 10 greater than or equal to 1, condition is true. Yes, why? Because 10 is greater than 1, condition is true. Now it will enter inside the loop. Now I value will be printed. Now 10 will be printed. Now after printing this I value, next immediately it will go and update the loop. I minus minus means one value will be decremented. I plus plus means one value will be incremented. Now, initially I value 10, after executing this I minus minus, I value will be 9. 9 greater than or equal to 1 is again condition true. Now, immediately execute the loop body. Here I am going to print I value. What is I value? 9. 9 will be printed. Sorry, 9 slash n here I am using, that's why 9. Next, after printing 9, now immediately it will go and update the loop. Again I minus minus. Now I value is 8. 8 is greater than or equal to 1. Yes, again condition true. It will be printed. Like this, now 1. Now if I value is 1, 1 greater than or equal to 1. Yes, condition true. Why? Because here equality is there. That's why I value will be printed. 1 is printed. And after printing the 1, I minus minus, now I value is 0. Okay, 0 is greater than or equal to 1, condition false. 0 is not greater than or equal to 1. Okay, that's why whenever condition is false, now immediately it will come out of the loop. Okay, what is your expected output? 10, 9, 8 up to 1. Like this, based on the example, if you want to increment the loop, yes, you can increment, or if you want to decrement the loop, you can decrement. But we have to concentrate more on condition. Condition is very important in looping statement. Why? Because if you will enter wrong condition, sometimes it may become infinite loop. That's why, based on the problem statement, all of you take care of what is the initialization of the loop, what is the condition of the loop. For example, if you observe in previous example, here I am using flower brackets under for loop, and in this example here I am not using any flower brackets. Why? Because in whether it is for loop or while loop or do while loop, under for loop or while loop or do while loop, if you want to write only one statement, if you want to write only one statement under looping statements, you no need to mention these flower brackets. For example, in previous example, here in under the for loop, here I am writing only one printf statement. If it is one statement also, you can maintain flower brackets, or else if you can remove these flower brackets also. Why? Because under for loop or while loop or do while loop, if you want to mention only one single statement, in that case no need to maintain any flower brackets. If you are maintaining flower brackets also, no problem, that is your choice. You can maintain flower brackets, or you can remove that flower brackets. When if you want to write only single statement under for loop, you can skip these flower brackets like this. In this example also, under for loop only one statement here I am writing, that is only one printf statement. That's why no need to maintain any flower brackets. For example, when these flower brackets are mandatory, if you want to write more than one statement, for example, a break like this, if you want to write more than one statement, in that cases, compulsory we need to maintain flower brackets. This thing you have to remember. Okay, when you are writing the looping statements, under looping statements, if you want to write only single statement, no need to maintain these flower brackets. When these flower brackets are needed, if you want to write more than one statement under looping statement, compulsory we have to maintain these flower brackets. Okay, thank you. And next session we'll discuss about a while loop.